Salutations everyone. So, with the new Pokemon games, Pokemon Sun and Moon set to be released towards the latter part of this year, and with virtually no information as of yet, there's definitely a lot of speculation going on throughout the internet. Now, with a new generation coming out, there also will be new Pokemon along with it. So, in this video, I'll be giving 5 Pokemon ideas that haven't been done yet, and I hope gets covered in Pokemon Sun and Moon, or even in any future Pokemon game really. With that being said, this video is based on my opinions, and opinions are subjective. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and delve into this list. In my 5th spot, I have somewhat of a fan favorite throughout the years, which happens to be the Koala. There's not much to really say about this one, besides of how the aesthetics of a Koala could work perfectly in Pokemon games. I personally could imagine it being a grass typing, but other than that, I don't have much to say. However, there's a sprite from the ROM hack Pokemon Vega with an awesome Fakemon design that is a koala. Man, just look at it in its glory. So, in my 4th spot, I have a specific mythological creature which has a unique symbolism in Japan, as well as an East Asian myth. This creature I've chosen happens to be the 3-legged raven, or crow. This tripedal raven originated from China as a creature linked to the sun. In Japanese mythology, this 3-legged raven is called the Yatagarasu, and it happens to be important in the Shinto canon as a messenger of the sun goddess Amaterasu. This raven in the Kojiki in Nihon Shoki Chronicles was sent to aid Emperor Jinmu as a guide on his journeys to Kumano. There's a lot more to the sacred sunbird, but that's just a quick overview. I could definitely see this motif being used as something relevant in Pokemon Sun, possibly as a legendary creature of some sort, which I think would be pretty interesting. Remember that alleged leak of the new Pokemon games titled Pokemon Plus and Minus? I slightly do, but it is obvious that they're fake now. But in those so-called leaks, one of the legendary Pokemon were based on the Chinese guardian lions, which I thought was a cool idea initially. So in this spot, I have the Coma Ino as well as the Shisa. In mainland Japan, these guardian statues are typically called Coma Ino, which do resemble their Chinese counterparts to a degree. Another interesting thing to point out is that from the appearance of these statues, they are often referred to as lion dogs. I could go into more detail about the reasoning for this, but I would have to dedicate that for another time. These Coma Ino statues typically guard the entrance or the inner sanctuary of a Shinto shrine, and sometimes Buddhist temples, or even the residences of nobility. Moreover, these statues were said to ward off evil spirits, and are typically seen in pairs, with the left Coma Ino with a closed mouth and the right one with an open one. This actually has symbolism, as the Coma Ino with the mouth open is there to ward off evil, and the one with the mouth closed is said to keep in the good. The same concept is in the islands of Okinawa, where they are called Shisa. In Okinawa, however, these statues are typically seen on the roofs or gates of residences. With that all being said, I would love to see a pair of Pokemon based on this. I think the design Game Freak could come up with would be amazing, so I hope they consider it. Number 3 was definitely a mouthful, so I'll quickly go over this spot. For number 2, I have the white tiger. The white tiger is an important symbol in Chinese mythology that also carried over to Japan sometime during the Asuka period. The white tiger, called Byakko in Japanese, is one of the 4 guardians of the 4 directions, being a key symbol in the heart of Chinese mythology. With that being stated, Byakko happens to be the guardian of the West, and like the other 3 guardians, each one has a corresponding trait, like a season, color, element, virtue, etc. For the white tiger, its traits are the season of fall, the color white, and is associated with wind, metal, and death. One thing I must add before I go on is that although these 4 creatures arrived with Buddhism to Japan, they were later merged and supplanted by the Shintenno, or the 4 heavenly kings. So what I'm trying to say is that these 4 exact guardians aren't as popular in Japanese history than in Chinese, but they're still there. Now, there's a lot of information about this mythological creature and its other counterparts, but I don't have the time to go over it in this video. But I would love to see a Pokemon based on this tiger, and to be honest, any tiger would suffice really. But if they were to use this idea, I could see it being a still flying type, and moreover, just think of how cool it would be to have a majestic tiger in the new Pokemon games. I would love it. we're finally at the number 1 spot. And I must say, this is a creature that I've wanted to see in a Pokemon game for years now. Its importance in Japanese mythology is significant, and its ties to modern pop culture is immense. For instance, Super Mario Bros. 3 is a prime example. Yes, as I said that, it probably gave away the number 1 spot for most of you, I'm sure. So, the number 1 spot for me goes to the Tanuki. The Tanuki is a raccoon dog, and from its look, it does resemble a raccoon somewhat. However, this creature has deep significance to Japanese folklore as a mischievous yet jolly shapeshifter. Although the Tanuki is a real animal, in folklore it is often depicted as a strange and supernatural creature, but also pretty foolish to a degree. Now, in regards to artistic design, Tanuki are typically portrayed with bloated bellies and big testicles. Yes, large testicles. But let me clarify this real quick. I'm positive if a Pokemon was based on the yokai like Tanuki, it wouldn't have large testicles. That would be really weird. But everything else as a basis would be pretty cool. Plus, I would definitely see this thing being a dark type due to its mischievous nature. Like I mentioned earlier, the Tanuki can transform at will, so it could be a gimmick for it. Kinda like Zoroark, but I would love to see a difference between the two if they did do that. Now, I'm sure someone could say that Zigzagoon is kinda like a Tanuki in design, mainly in the regards to the real-life counterpart or the real-life animal. That is kinda true. However, I would want to see a Pokemon closely related to the yokai counterpart. With that all said, there is a Fakemon from the Vega series of ROM hacks that is spot on in design, and it's based on a Tanuki. The first evolution is called Tanuki, and its final evolved form is called Pokokingu. I think the designs are really amazing and could pass for real Pokemon. Although this Fakemon is pure normal type, I could definitely see it being dark. Now, that was my top 5 wanted Pokemon for Sun and Moon list. And to be honest, I have a lot more creatures that I would love to see as a basis, so I might make another list sometime in the near future just to list them. Again, I must mention this is my own opinion, and opinions are subjective. So if you have your own list, be sure to comment them down below. I'll be happy to read them. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to support by hitting that like button or the dislike button, and subscribe to be notified for more videos. With that being said, I'll catch you on the flip side.